Good afternoon, folks. Jordan here with the Nutty Gnome Homestead. It is the end of May 2023. We are standing out here in our orchard getting ready to plant a couple of fruit trees. So I've got 4 trees I need to plant today, a couple of plums and an apple. And I'm going to show you guys how we do this in a site that is not that great for planting fruit. We actually do a couple things to our soil that actually helps our trees produce consistently for the last several years. So I'm going to bring you guys in close and we're going to show you how we get this done. So I wanted to show you guys some of our apples on a few of these trees. We've got quite a few. They're doing pretty good, it looks like. I'm happy with it. But what we are doing is we're out here in an old horse pasture that we've converted into our orchard. Now, whenever you dig a hole for your tree, you want it to be twice as wide and twice as deep as the pot the tree has come in. So I'm going to put you guys on the stand here just a second. Alright, so I dug this hole. We're going to set that pot down in there. You guys can see that this is twice as wide and twice as deep as our pot. There's a reason we do this. So you guys can see the soil is heavily weathered. You guys can see that we've got a real thin layer of topsoil, and then we got some clay, and it's really weathered soil. There's not much organic matter in it. Like I said, this was a horse pasture that we've converted into our orchard. It has taken a lot of work in the last 6-7 years to get this to start producing some fruit. So this is zoysia grass actually, and we actually, when we dug this out, I kept the plug. We're going to transplant that. That stuff's going to live. This stuff spreads 10-15% a year, so there's no sense in wasting it. We'll put it to good use. Now, we usually do a couple of things with our holes like this. First things first, it's the end of May, almost June. There's no moisture in this ground. We've not had any rain in over 10 days. And as you guys can see, with it being mostly clay, it's not going to do that great with draining. Let me show you guys this. We dumped about a gallon of water into that hole. And it's going to slowly start draining out and getting absorbed. That's going to take about 10 minutes for that to get out of there. So I'm not too happy about that, but I really don't have any other place to put my orchard on this farm. We've got our field that we have our crops in, and then we have woods, so you kind of have to make do with what you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my own organic matter to it. You guys remember the video of making our own potting mix, the compost, perlite, peat moss mix. I mix up a whole batch just for planting these trees. Not only that, I have a lot of rabbits. Rabbits produce a lot of manure. I'm going to fill this hole with this homemade potting mix and rabbit manure. That's what I'm going to plant my tree in. So I'm going to get a little bit going, and we'll bring you guys back in just a few minutes. Okay, so you guys just saw there for a second me take this out of the grow tube it was on. Now, I want to let you guys know, I'm not impressed with how these box stores have their trees planted in these little pots. The pots are way too small for the tree. There's rocks, which I'm not too happy about. But more importantly, there's no soil in this. This is pine bark, wood chips. There is nothing in here for this tree to eat. There is nothing for it to consume. This tree is starving. So, what I'm going to do is, while I get the rest of this hole and everything ready, I'm going to get you guys over here. I'm going to soak it. I'm going to rinse these roots off. And I'm going to go get a bag of rabbit manure. that I can give this tree something it can eat. Kind of feel sorry for it. So, I'll be right back. Alright, so I come back with about 40 pounds of rabbit manure. Should be enough to get at least 3 of these trees done. I'm going to sprinkle some in the bottom of the hole. So first I put down my potting soil, then I put, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds of rabbit manure on top of it. My tree's over here soaking. You guys can see that. Poor pitiful tree, I feel sorry for it. You guys see the roots. A couple of suckers coming off, those will have to get cut off here. This thing is root bound. They pull these whips up out of the ground, stick them in these pots. Put this pine shavings in on them and send them to the nurseries or home stores. And then these things are dead in just a couple of months. So we're going to rinse most of that stuff off of there. I don't want to go digging around through here too hard. It's got a bunch of little roots. We're going to get a lot of it out. But usually I would sit here and I'd work at it until I got all that bark out of it. But this one is awful small. Put your tree right in the center of the hole. Now, you guys can see the graft down there. That's where those 2 little green sprouts are coming from. I need to build this up just a little bit to get the graft above the soil line. So I'm going to put my tree back in the bucket. Yeah, I'm going to alternate layers between rabbit manure and my homemade potting mix. I think one more layer of rabbit manure ought to be enough. Okay, let me get you guys down close. Okay, can you guys see the soil line and the graft on that tree? So the soil line's right behind it and the graft is sitting just above the soil line. That's where we need to be. Both of those green suckers coming off are below the graft. I will cut both of those off because I do not know what kind of rootstock this came off of. Oh yeah, there's the soil that came out of this hole. Good old gray, brown, Southern Illinois weathered soil. Couldn't have been blessed with some of that black Northern Illinois soil, but that's okay. We make do with what we have. Now, in my garden, any of you guys that have been following us for a while will know that we do a lot of cover crops and a lot of soil amendments. And over the last 6 years, we've increased our topsoil layer by about 200%. And the garden is just absolutely phenomenal. We do a lot of leaf mold, compost, cover crops, adding all kinds of organic matter where we want it makes a huge difference. We have actually started doing that in this orchard. I do plant clover in here. The clover is beneficial as both a green manure as well as a nitrogen fixer. And I believe I might actually start planting a couple other things so we don't just have a monoculture. I like to have forage available for my bees, which are just at the edge of my orchard here as well. But anyway, we'll get back to getting this tree planted real quick. Now, as you guys can see, this tree is centered. It's in line with the rest of the trees in this row, north and south and east and west. We want to make sure everything stays in a line. It makes it a lot easier to maintain, mow, spray, do whatever in the orchard. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to backfill this in with our potting mix. So these two suckers, I'm going to come down right next to the tree, clip them off. I don't want those in there. I don't want to bring the soil up above this graft. Up to it is okay, but I don't want to bring it up above it. Now we're going to tamp this down slightly to make sure we have good contact with the roots all the way around. We do not want any air pockets in there. And I'm going to continue to backfill this with our compost. We're going to add a little bit of water. Now, since there's a lot of peat moss in here, this is going to be hydrophobic for a little bit, meaning the water will probably sit on top for just a couple of minutes. And that's okay. We're going to give this tree a good drink. We're going to tamp everything down, and then I'll top dress it one more time. And then we'll move on to the next one. Now, we do have a problem with a lot of deer in the area trying to get at our trees. How we mitigate that is we try to run the deer off whenever we see them out here. We do a lot of hunting as well. However, there are going to get some. Short of running a hot wire electric fence of some sort, you're just going to have to deal with a little bit of loss. We do put tree tubes on a lot of our trees to prevent the deer from rubbing their antlers on them, and that seems to help a little bit. Not all the trees are shaped properly for a tree tube, which it is what it is. You are going to have some losses. Now, I much prefer planting trees, fruit trees especially, in the fall. September, October is still pretty warm in this area, but we tend to have the best luck when we plant them in the fall, and then they get a good start in the spring. Now, planting here in the summer, we're getting ready to go another week without rain, it looks like. So this is going to get a 5-gallon bucket of water once a week until they go dormant. It's going to be a little bit of work, but in 1 to 2 years, I'm going to have fruit on this tree. Get your foot in there. Make sure you got it. Good soil contact all the way around that root ball. And there we have one Arkansas black apple tree planted in a row with our other ones. Really is that simple. A little bit of TLC this rest of this year will go a long way in making sure this tree is very fruitful. Now, a couple of things I do want to show you guys. It appears at the nursery they were shooting for a central leader on this tree. So you got this main bowl of the tree, and then you had the central leader coming up. You can see where they cut it off right here and force it to sprout. I'm okay with that. That is the old school method for pruning your fruit trees, and there is nothing wrong with that. A lot of people will do these scaffoldings. We'll actually put some weights on this limb and get it to go out to about a 90-degree angle. You want this crotch intersection here, right here, to be about 90 degrees. That's where it's going to be the strongest. If it's 45 degrees like these up here, there's a good chance that they could break if they get a lot of fruit on them, so you'd have to provide a little bit of support. There's nothing wrong with that. However, whenever you do the central leader, you want to have a scaffold here, a little bit of space, and another scaffold of limbs up higher. Most people are afraid to cut off branches on their fruit trees. It's hard to over prune a fruit tree. If the tree is healthy, it's going to come back. If you make a wrong cut, don't worry about it. You can always come back next year and fix your mistake after it puts off new shoots. Walking around this tree, let me get you guys in the frame here. Walking around this tree, as you guys can see, it is trying to go upwards and out, and that's okay. It's about 5 foot tall. And as you guys can see right here, the apical meristem terminates, and we got 3 healthy branches, 1, 2, 3, going up. That's okay. I can work with this. I will probably leave it like this, force these 3 branches out, and we'll go with a open bowl or an open center pruning technique. We do modify some of our techniques depending on the tree itself, but that's for another video. So, well, I appreciate you guys coming along for planting some fruit trees here on the homestead. I got 3 more to do. I'm going to try to get them knocked out before I run out of light. It's about 7:30 right now, so I don't have that much longer to go. If you guys like this kind of content, I'd appreciate it if you'd like, share, and subscribe. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a message down below or get a hold of us over on Nutty Gnome Homestead on Facebook. If you guys have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. Till next time, get out there and plant you an orchard. You'll appreciate it in a couple of years.